Hey team, welcome to the Baby Playbook podcast. Always such a pleasure to have your company on this podcast, and thank you so much for choosing to listen. It's a really special episode today. I feel like I intro every episode like that because I'm just always so excited to have a guest on with me and to talk about all different aspects of motherhood, parenting, pregnancy, birth, all the things which parents, go through in this crazy time and change in our life. Today is a really special episode though, because I think Hannah, who I'm about to introduce, really kind of landed in my lap, or I got to know right before I really kind of needed to know a little bit about the grieving space and the baby loss space. So just to give a bit of context, a couple of months before I gave birth to Hugo and lost Micah, I was at an event. It was a PR event, and Hannah was one of the speakers, and she had come there to speak about her charity, Olive and Kin, which I'll explain in a minute. And she was speaking really beautifully with, I believe, a fellow midwife of hers who were talking about, speaking to grieving parents and the language we should be using and how we should be helping them and assisting them and supporting them in a really challenging time. Now, at the time, I had never even imagined something like that happening to me. I was pregnant at the time with twins, and I just thought her story was really so beautiful. Also, of course, so sad at the same time, but she was such an amazing, I guess the way she was speaking about her experience was in such an amazing way, and she was really captivating. Then fast forward to when I was in the hospital, and I had, of course, at that point, welcomed Hugo into the world, and I had lost baby Micah at the same time. So a really challenging time. One of the midwives actually walked into my room and she gave me an Olive and Kin business card. And she said, I know this lady and she has this amazing charity, and I just thought I'd give it to you. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my gosh, I met Hannah I don't know what it was, a month or two before. So it was a really amazing kind of aligning of, I guess, our stories and just us being able to connect. So I wanted to share that first. I want to now say hi to Hannah, who joins me for the podcast.
Hi, Nicolina. Thank you for having me on. That was a lovely introduction.
I know, it was so amazing when I got that business card. I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my gosh, I just had met her a couple of months before. So tell me a little bit about Olive and Kin and your story.
Okay, where to start, really? I'll do like a brief rundown. I've got 3 girls. Billy is 5. Then I had Olive, and she passed away. She was born at 23 weeks, just before 23 weeks, after my waters broke early, after a stitch was put in my cervix, and after a few weeks of monitoring my short cervix and having signs of preterm labor. Really rough few weeks, and then it ended with her being born and us not bringing her home. And Olive and Kin was born out of that experience. We had her cremated, and we couldn't find any urns that we wanted for her or wanted to have on display in our home, or we couldn't find anything that felt quite right. And so I ended up making her one out of clay, and I loved it. It was the experience of doing it was therapeutic for me. It felt healing. It felt like a special way to mother and parent her. And then I connected with others who had experienced the loss of babies, and I was on maternity leave with no baby and all this time and grief to manage. And I ended up making more and more for friends and then strangers. And that was 3 years ago, 3 years and 1 week ago that she died. And now we are a registered charity. We've posted out 282 urns across Australia so far. And we have a long wait list. The demand is so high. They're also free. No one that needs an urn needs to pay. So that is what I'm doing now. I'm running a charity, which isn't quite what I didn't think. Yeah, I think I'll start a charity and make urns, but I'm here. It's just grown into what it is now. And I'm so grateful to have found this niche and to be doing something that I'm enjoying, but also helping so many families. Since Olive was born, we've had another baby, Nora. She was born early as well. My waters broke at 27 weeks with her, and she was born 10 days later. I got sepsis. She was born with sepsis and meningitis. She had a really rough postnatal period. She got meningitis 2 more times after the first round of meningitis. Every time she had it, we were told she might die, and if she didn't die, she might have significant disabilities. But she didn't die. She stayed with us. She's come home with us, and you basically wouldn't know. She's still on some medications for blood pressure and kidney issues, but she's developing normally, and we just feel so lucky. So lucky.
Wow. Hannah, you have had such a, I guess, roller coaster of a parenting journey, of course, because it's not just one experience. You've just explained as well 3 completely different experiences, and within all of it, a lot of emotions, whether it's joy balanced with grief, balanced with stress,
Totally.
all of the things.
Yes. I got really into the concept of duality in my pregnancy after loss, because it was just the biggest reminder and showing to me that 2 things can be true at once. You can be excited and hopeful and also terrified, worried, anxious. They existed together the whole entire time. And they still, duality is present in the everyday. I go on parenting Olive and she's not here, and that is so sad and unfair. But I also am grateful to have had her and for what she's gifted me and for my other 2 daughters. It's all together all of the time.
Yeah, it is. And I feel that so much as well now as well. Of course, in my experience, I had one baby who was there and, of course had made it. And we were, of course, really stressed about him. He had come at 30 weeks. So I had a baby in the NICU, and at the same time, I had a baby who had just passed away. So that duality I really resonate with, because I would at times, I don't know if you felt this as well, like felt guilty when I felt one or the other. If I was feeling the sadness, I'd think, oh, I've got to be happy. I've got to be grateful I've got Hugo. And then when I'd feel really happy and lost in the joy of Hugo, I'd feel guilty and go, oh, I have to be sad because I just lost Micah, But I think slowly, same as you, coming to terms with the fact that I can be both, and I can be, of course, grateful for my other 2 as well. There's just so much. There's so much on the table. You just have to try and get used to it, don't you?
There's no way through but through.
Yes.
Like, what else are we going to do? We don't just drop dead. Oh, too hard. You just keep going.
You do, especially when there's another child around and other kids around. Well, I really wanted to bring your story to the podcast because, as I said, I'm such in awe of, what you do and what Olive and Kin has become as well. And the fact that, it is free, and it is just that opportunity for parents to have something really special and really unique made for their little one. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I'd love to speak to you a little bit about, I guess, something that you spoke about at the event that captured my ears, I should say, was communication and language and helping grieving parents, and something that's, I guess, very foreign to a lot of people, very new to a lot of family members, a lot of friends. I know my family and friends, were nervous about navigating around me when things were happening, and it's not their fault. Of course, sometimes it's the first time they're experiencing something like this. So I think it'd be a really good opportunity to help people understand what may, be the right language or the right way to approach things, or what help could really be useful at the time and what might not be very useful. So I'd love to know from your experience as well, what does support really look like in those kind of early moments and days after loss?
In one word, presence. I think people don't know what to say, don't know what to do, so they just disappear, like that meme of Homer Simpson like disappearing into the bush. They don't know what to do or say, so they don't say anything, and that's hard. I'm conscious that when I say the next thing of things what not to say, then people are scared. Well, I don't want to say the wrong thing either. But I guess the intent matters more than the words. And not no one. Look, people who have grieved get it. And if you've not really grieved, you don't know until you know. And we're not taught grief literacy ever. And we should be, because everyone dies. Everyone will experience grief in their life. Everyone will know someone who experiences grief. So it would be lovely to be given some tools at some point in our lives, as early as primary school, as early as we can talk, really. So being there is huge. If you don't know what to say, you can literally say, I don't know what to say. I feel like I've used that a lot recently. And that's okay. It shows you are thinking about it. You've thought about what's happening for them, and you don't have anything to say, because sometimes there is nothing right to say. But just being there is huge. And that doesn't mean physically being there. That can be messages. Something where there's no pressure to respond is lovely. Like a quick message. I'm thinking of you today. I'm here if you want to chat. No need to reply. It's nice to be told there's no need to reply, because then there's no pressure that you might put on yourself to get back to the people who are being so beautiful and caring in those first few days and weeks. So I think presence would be my answer there. Just don't disappear. And if you're not sure how to refer to their loss, you can just ask them. You can say, have you given your baby a name? It doesn't matter what kind of loss it is, but I guess specific to baby loss, that can be at any gestation. And some families won't name their baby and some families will. And being asked could mean a lot to them. And then you know how you can refer to their loss to them. And then using their baby's name. One of my favorite things is occasionally I'll get a message from someone saying, I ordered my coffee in Olive's name today. And that is so nice, years down the line, to know someone's thought of Olive and included her in their day, in their daily ritual in some way, even if it's just once. So asking what their name is if they have one, and then using it. Checking in, not disappearing. No pressure to respond. Yes, just being there.
Yeah, I think all of those options are really important to make clear. And I love that beautiful gesture of, that I guess sometimes we feel like in the immediate aftermath of things, that's the time, to reach out and be really present. But then I guess you might feel this more than me because I'm kind of still in that very early stages, but it might fade away. So, an opportunity to also check in later down the track and, and because you are comfortable with, people using Olive's name and remembering her, being able to do that. Some people may not be, and that's also okay. But keeping that spirit alive and keeping that conversation going. Yeah. When, Hannah, I'd love that practical kind of advice that you have about a message that says, I'm not sure what to say, but I'm here, or I'm thinking of you, and you don't have to reply. I'd love to get a little bit more into that, because I think sometimes it's really useful when people have a bit of a template. So any more tips in terms of that language that we can use when we are checking in and when we are making sure that they know that we're available and we're present? Whether it be, saying things like no need to reply, or whether it be just that little thought. But is there any particular questions? Is there any particular time frame that you can provide insight into?
If you want to ask the grieving family a question, I love, how's your heart today? Or how are you today? Not how are you? Because that question is so big, you don't know where to start. How are you today narrows it down so the person can answer, how am I right now, actually? And you knowing that the person hearing that response isn't going to take that for how you are every moment of every day over the last few weeks. How are you is so broad and feels impossible to answer. So a more specific question like, how's your heart today? How did you sleep last night? What are your plans for today? Nothing too broad, something more specific. Also things like, if you need anything, let me know. That's a lovely gesture, but really hard. You don't know where to start. You don't know what you need. So I love a grief menu. I call it. I think someone else called it that, and I've just adopted that. But a grief menu where you offer things that you can do to help, and the family or the person can choose what they would like. Hey, I'm going to the shops today. Can I pick you up something for dinner? Or shall I take your dog for a walk this afternoon? Can I pick up your older kids from school? Would you like so-and-so to come over and have a play date today? Giving them options of things you can realistically do to help, rather than the vague, let me know if there's anything I can do. There always is something you can do. No one ever is going to complain that they've been brought a meal. That if they're not going to eat it that night, they can put it in the freezer and eat it another night. That food is such a lovely gift, because basic daily activities can feel so hard in early grief, and even later down the line, out of nowhere, you can get hit with a grief bomb. I think they termed it on the Good Morning podcast. And it just comes out of nowhere. You get hit with this grief and you're not really sure why it's come up, but it's come up, and now you're in the throes of grief again. And they come with no warning, no triggers that you sometimes can't identify the trigger, but they just come, and then you're back in it, and everything feels a little bit harder again. Can't remember where I was going with that one.
There's so much to divulge. Yeah, but I like that. And I think that the grief menu is a great tactic, because you can just really list it out for them, and they just pick one or all of them. But yeah, because I felt like sometimes I did get a lot of that, let me know if you need anything from me. And I just was like, that's the last thing I can think of right now, because that's another task for me to think of what you could help with.
Choose something from multiple choice, way easier.
Exactly.
And then also the person can give you an idea of what kind of things they're thinking and what's doable for them. So you don't feel like, can you go and get my click and collect from this place at this time? And then they're like, oh, like I can't do that.
Retract my offer.
Totally. It's more comfortable for everyone, I think, giving a menu instead of let me know if there's anything. Sometimes I think that can feel a tiny bit disingenuous, because you're putting it on them. Literally, you're giving them a job to give you a job. If you give them options, that's much easier.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I think everyone hears at the time, I think at least one person said this to me, was everything happens for a reason.
Oh. I knew you were going to say that.
Let's start with that one statement we should avoid. Is there any others that come to mind?
Anything that starts with at least. Oh, at least you weren't full term. Oh, at least you can try again. Anything with at least. That's minimizing. It's not nice to hear that. Nothing that comes after at least is going to feel good in that moment. Their baby has just died, so there's no at least. You're young, you can try again. Yeah, everything happens for a reason. It wasn't meant to be. They're in a better place. No, I want them in my arms. They're the best places with their mum. That's all you can think of at that time. How could anywhere but with us be better? Not helpful, but I don't know, the platitudes are just everywhere, and I think it feels like an easy thing to say, like, oh, if I say this, it might help them feel a bit better. But you don't need to make us feel better. Sometimes I think we get stuck in the fixing things, and a lot of the time, for me anyway, I just wanted someone to sit with me in it and not need to make it better. Just be there and say, this sucks. Like, this is so awful. This is so unfair. And it's not going to be like that forever. It's always going to be sad, unfair, but you're not always going to be sitting in that place. You get further away from it. And it's not that time heals all wounds. I saw something written yesterday. I can't remember where I saw it. Oh, in a book. Someone said time doesn't heal all wounds, but it gives you the tools to manage it, which I really loved. That was in Any Ordinary Day by Lee Sales. I finished it last night. That's a lovely book about traumas and post-traumatic growth, and the ways people cope. Yeah, I liked that because it doesn't reduce it to just at the longer time goes on, the more fine you will be. It's never going to not suck, but you get better at riding the waves. The waves get further apart.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I think the other thing, and I don't know if you agree here as well, Hannah, I think it's important to talk about this. And as you said, grief kind of, what did you call it? Grief literature.
Grief literacy, yeah.
Grief literacy. Because a lot of the time I would sometimes get triggered by something someone would say, but then I would also very quickly go, oh, they're just trying to help. And I think it's important to remind yourself, if you're the one in that situation, that, everybody has that like good intent behind it, and they're just trying to help, and they're just trying to say something or reach out or whatever it may be. It's helpful when they know useful things to say and what to avoid, but sometimes they won't. And it's also okay to understand that they don't, and they might not relate to what you're going through at all.
If you don't know, you don't know. And no, I am sure I've put my foot in it at times and said the wrong thing because I didn't know, and it is no one's fault. It's the fault of society as a whole that we don't know this. We're not taught it, so how are we meant to know it? So yeah, I would never become angry or upset or hold a grudge against someone for saying the wrong thing. They've said that because that's the best thing they knew how to do. So I definitely agree with you there, remembering that everyone's doing their best. And yeah, I don't know how more to say it. I think I've said it. You don't know until you know. But like with things like this podcast, sharing what is helpful, what isn't helpful, then hopefully a few more people hear about it and then have some tools that they can use down the line if it comes up.
Exactly. I'd love to know, Hannah, because you've been in this space for quite a while now, and of course you've probably met, so many people that are also in this space through Olive and Kin. Do you know of any great, services or even Instagram handles or, places that people can look for help and motivation? And Olive and Kin is one of those. Of course, it's great to get that name out there and for people to know that that is available to them as well, for them to join the wait list or to look into one of the kins. But yeah, anything that you've come across that you want to share?
Oh, I wish I'd written a list before now. Maybe I'll send you
Yes.
I'll write something down and I'll send you something after this. There is so much out there, but you don't know where to find it. One of my favorite supports is a resource booklet called A Little Help. Well, it started with A Little Help from Jack. Jack was stillborn at term, and his mum, Emily, and his dad put together a list of resources for baby loss and stillbirth. And they're all in different categories, like official support services like Red Nose and Bears of Hope that offer counselling and support groups, memory making, keepsakes, online communities, face-to-face support groups. It's like, I call it like the yellow pages of baby loss resources. And since A Little Help from Jack, they've come out with A Little Help from Remy, which is specific to baby loss as a result of termination for medical reasons. And then most recently, there's A Little Help from Lily, which is for families with a child with a life-limiting diagnosis, palliative care, or sudden baby loss. And so there's something for, I would say, every kind of baby and infant loss is covered within these 3 books. And they're slowly getting out there. I think they're in most states. Not every hospital has them. But we're working with them at the moment, and very soon everybody who orders an urn will have the option to receive a gifted copy from us of the directory or they're called a companion. So they are a great place to start. You can buy them on the website. They're about $5 each, I think. And not our website, A Little Help from Jack's website. And yeah, it's just everything all in one. Otherwise, there are plenty of baby loss podcasts and general grief podcasts. I loved Good Morning, morning spelt MOURNING. They've got all kinds of different guests on a huge range of topics. There are specific baby loss podcasts too, like the Glimmer Project, I'm pretty sure it's called. And then there are episodes within other podcasts that cover baby loss, like this one, for example, or loss episodes in Australian birth stories. You just have to find it. There's a big baby loss community on Instagram, and that's been a huge support, just connecting with other people who get it, even if we've never met in real life. I have some lovely friends that I've not met in real life, and we'll chat, laugh about things. There's just like a knowing. There's a knowing and a different kind of connection when you're speaking with someone who has experienced a similar kind of loss. Face-to-face support groups, we're very lucky in Sydney There's 2 social workers out of the Mater that do face-to-face support groups post-loss and then pregnancy after loss support groups. And I was very lucky to be able to go to both of those groups. And I've got a lovely mothers group. We all met at our pregnancy after loss mothers group, and we no longer go to the facilitated sessions, but we catch up outside of those, and our babies are all 1.5. There's plenty of counselling that's accessible. I know cost is a huge barrier to getting professional psychological support. The Gidget Foundation has been incredible for me. I got linked up with them in my pregnancy with Nora, and I feel so lucky that I connected with the psychologist I was allocated, and that they provide free sessions with a psychologist. So I saw her regularly. I know that I wouldn't have done regular psychology sessions if it wasn't for Gidget, just because of the cost. Such a big barrier. So that service has been invaluable for me. Bears of Hope also has free counselling, face-to-face and online. And there are so many other charities in the space that put together baby loss boxes. Heartfelt, incredible charity. They are a group of volunteer photographers that go and take photos for families whose babies have died. So they have beautiful photos of their baby. They also touch up photos that you may have taken yourself for free. Oh gosh, there's so much.
Well, we'll make sure that we get them all in our show notes to ensure that that's there. And I was just thinking, as you were listing all of these things, if you are listening to this podcast and, hopefully not, but maybe later in life you come across a friend who might experience something like this, it's good to maybe even, that's an opportunity to link them to something, or, to buy them one of the books that you were mentioning with all of the resources, something like that could be really useful and helpful at the time.
That would be a lovely gift. If you want to send something and you don't know what to send, particularly if you don't have a budget to send them a $200 hamper or a food voucher, or the time and capacity to make them a meal, just ordering a little help from Jack, Remy or Lily, getting it sent to their house, then they've got a whole book of potential resources that they may not have known about otherwise.
100%. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for coming on and sharing so much with us. I know Hannah and I behind the scenes had quite a bit of back and forth in getting this together because, of course, she's got her little ones, I've got my little ones. But I'm so glad we made it happen. And thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you.